Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Soulful Sundays. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you found me. Around here, we talk creativity, candles, small business life, and all the behind the scenes moments that don't always make it to the final product. Today, we're stepping just a little outside of wax, but very much inside the brand. Because before something ever becomes a product, it starts as an idea. So today, I'm bringing you along as I design and brand some drinkware, mugs, wine glasses, and a couple of brandy glasses for me and my husband. So we're taking them from plain and simple to something intentional, cohesive, and unmistakably Kandie scents. We'll go from the design stage to the cutting stage to the please line up straight stage and hopefully the okay, that actually looks really good stage. Some will be perfect, some may test my patience, but that's the creative process and you're getting the real behind the scenes look today. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's create something amazing together. All right, y'all. So first things first, we're starting in Canva because Canva is basically my coworker at this point, right? I pull up my logo, I get everything how I need it, and I download it so we're ready for the next step. Once that's downloaded, I head over to Google and I go to one of the other websites I like to use when I'm in my let's play around and see what we can create mood, right? And that website is playground.com. So I hop on Playground and I log into my account and I start scrolling the homepage until I see the mug templates because sometimes I just need a little inspiration to get my brain going. You know how it is. Staring at a blank screen will humble you real quick, okay? I find a design that I like, and then I start using the platform to alter it into something that feels more on brand for Kandie scents. So let's just see how this goes, okay? So I pick one that says Mom Mode On. It is so cute, but since today is about branding and the vibe is relaxation, I'm like, nope, we're switching that all the way up, okay? I wanted to say unwind mode on because honestly, that's the energy we're on, right? Then I'm thinking, okay, let me see what it'll look like if I change this design color to black. Let's keep it clean, sleek, and easy to read. You know, it's thinking, y'all. So let's see what it does. Okay, listen, that totally did not go how I wanted it to. Okay, now it says UOM. I don't know what UOM stands for, but it's definitely not unwind mode. So let's try this again. Now I go back and I type in, make the wording say, in quotation marks, unwind mode on. And let's just see if it behaves now. Okay, it says unwind mode now, but it took away the on, and I really wanted to keep the on because that's what makes it feel like a whole vibe. So yeah, lesson learned. You have to be really, really, really specific with this one. Like, talk to it like it's just stubborn specific, okay? Okay, so this design is officially giving me a hard time. And when it starts acting like it pays the bills in my house, I take that as a sign to move on, okay? So I'll skip it for now, but I might come back to it later. But for the moment, I go back to the Playground Create page And I click on mug templates again, and I start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to see what else I can come up with. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's try something different. Maybe I can take this design back to Canva and see if I can fix it using Canva's AI tools. Because sometimes Playground is cute, but Canva is the real MVP, okay? So I go back to Canva and create a 1080 by 1080 pixel design. Then I upload the design I just made and add it to my page. And I click edit. Now, once I'm in edit mode, I go over and I click grab text. And now I actually have the ability to change the wording how I want to. And y'all, it still wasn't quite giving what I needed at first, but then I tried changing the text color to black, and there we go, unwind mode. That's still not exactly what I wanted. But I go back to the original image to see if I can change some of the background objects, like play around with the different colors and modes, just trying to see if I can make it look more polished. But if I'm honest, I am still not feeling it. So I try Magic Grab next. I click it, it pops up, and then I select the 3 elements to see if I can finally make the adjustments I'm looking for. I tried changing it to black, but for whatever reason, it's coming out like this dusty little gray, and baby, we're not doing dusty today, okay? At this point, I'm like, okay, I'm not happy with what I'm seeing, but I keep playing around just a little longer to see if I can make it work. You know what? I'm just like, nope. I'm going back to Playground, and I'm just going to give up on that one for now. I'll come back later. But for now, we're moving on, okay? So next, I pick a design that says, "You are enough." And I actually like this one. So I go ahead, edit it, and I try to change the wording from "You are enough" to say, "Unwind mode activated." Let's see if this works. Okay, it did not say what I asked. It came out and said, "Unwind mode enough." So now I try to change enough to say activated. And yeah, that's just not going well at all. I'm not even sure what this just said, okay? So I realized that this one just isn't going to work, not like this anyway. So back to the drawing board I go. Now I'm scrolling again and again, and I see if I can come up with another design that I really like. So I just decide something different, right? So this time I typed in for it to change the wording to say lit then poured. And I totally forgot to put then at first, y'all, and we just gonna act like we didn't see that, okay? So I go back and I specifically tell it to type lit then poured. So there we go. Here we go. Now we're talking, y'all. So I export the design, download it to my computer, and baby, we are officially in business. Now it's time to find another design. Hey y'all, and if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit that like button. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from y'all. And go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss the next Soulful Sundays. Alright, so now I'm back in Playground, still scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, trying to see what else I can come up with. Ooh, big Virgo energy. Now, that's definitely me, but hey, we're not here for that today. So, I'm thinking maybe we should be a little more specific and search for something that says self-care or something that's just giving self-care vibes, right? So, I start looking, but honestly, I'm seeing some cute things, just not what I'm looking for. And y'all, I keep circling back to that mom mode on design. Like, I really like it, but it just won't let me be great. So I'm like, okay, let's try this again. This time I type in remove the wording mom mode and add the wording unwind mode. So let's see how this goes. And if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna have to create it myself manually. I was trying to save time, but clearly the internet has plans for my life today, right? Okay, it did it, but it's looking a little small. You know what though? This might work. So I'm gonna just go ahead and download it and just see what I can do with it. So now I pull up Cricut Design Space and I open a blank canvas. I start uploading my designs. When I upload my logo, it looks a little pixelated, kind of stretched. And I already know if it looks like this on the screen, it's not gonna look good on the final product. So I try and see what I can do to fix it, but it's just not working out the way I want it to work. So I go ahead and decide to upload the other designs first, and I'll just come back to the logo. I upload the design and then I set it as a single layer. Since it will be cut in one color, I make sure the background is removed and then I just hit upload. I also give it a name and some details so I can find it easily later. Because once you start uploading a bunch of stuff, it turns into a whole scavenger hunt, okay? Now I go to upload the next one, the unwind mode on design. I remove the background, apply and continue, single layer again, but it's looking a little funny once it comes in. And honestly, I'm just not sold. So I think I just canceled that upload and decided, you know what? I'm just going to design my own unwind mode on in Cricut. So I start from scratch. Now I'm searching for a font that I like, something a little thicker. Scroll, 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 scroll some more. Nope, not that one. Not that one either. Oh, that one. That's cute. Now I grab a couple of shapes, a couple of hearts, resize them, and then I add them where I want them on the design. And then I'll duplicate it. Yes, there we go. Now it's starting to come together. Then I try to group everything so it stays together and looks how I want it to look on screen. Now I go back and try uploading my logo, well, a smaller version of my logo, to see if it looks any better. But when I add it to the canvas, it's like it's missing or skipping or whatever. It's just acting brand new. So I canceled that one too. I'm like, you know what? Today is clearly a manual day, okay? So instead, I create a separate text box and type out my business name, Kandie Scents. Then underneath, I type my tagline, Send it with soul, pour it with purpose. I make it smaller and adjust it to fit. And I did think about changing it to a script font, but then I was like, nah, that's probably going to be a weeding nightmare. And I'm not trying to fight for my life today, okay? So I'm going to just stick with this thick font. I add another text box and I type out my husband's name. Then I add another text box and I type out my name for our brandy glasses. Alright, now it's time to bring out the drinkware. So I grab everything I picked up, and honestly, most of this came from Dollar Tree. I got 2 black mugs, 1 red mug, and 2 white mugs. And then I stopped by Pop Shelf where I grabbed the rest, a red wine glass, a stemless wine glass, and 2 brandy glasses. Everything was about $1 and $1.50, so we are definitely staying on budget today, okay? We love a luxe look on a not so luxe price tag, right? First things first, let me clean up some of this trash, and then we're going to start removing these labels from the bottom. You can see them all laid out: the brandy glasses, the red wine glass, the stemless wine glass, which is actually pretty dirty, the red mug, the white mug, the black mug, another black mug, and the larger white mug. So I grabbed the first one and try to peel the sticker. And wow, it came off so easy. That's a little suspicious. The next one, oh, it came off pretty easy too. Now this third one, okay, yeah, here we go. This one wants to fight. So I just flip it over, spray a little alcohol on the bottom, and let it soak while I move on to the next one. And no, this one just won't do right either. It'll come off halfway, and then it just want to fight me. So we're going to flip this one on over and spray it on the bottom too, and keep this train rolling. As you can see, some of them will cooperate, and then there's always that one that just refuses to let go of its past life, right? So I grab my scrapper and I start working at it. Then I wipe it all down once it's done to remove the residue and any leftover alcohol. And honestly, these glasses were pretty dirty, so off camera, I had to run to the kitchen and wash everything really well before we continue. So now it's time for the measurements. I grab my measuring tape because before I cut anything with my Cricut, I need to make sure I have the correct height and width for each design. Once I have my measurements, I clear off my workstation and update the sizes inside of Cricut to match what I wrote down. Now I start gathering all of my supplies, my transfer tape, permanent vinyl, and my tools, and I get ready to load my mat. I pick my vinyl color and I start prepping. And then I realized I need to assemble my new tray extender that I just bought. So pause real quick assembly moment. And we're back, or maybe not, because I forgot to plug in my Cricut. Okay, now we're ready to go. I load my mat. I'm fighting bubbles the whole time, so I finally get that down. I head back to my computer, pull my designs up, and I make sure I have everything arranged correctly so nothing gets cut off and it fits the vinyl I actually have. Hey y'all, and if you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit that like button. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from y'all. And go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss the next Soulful Sundays. Once that's set, I send it to Cricut, slide in my mat, press that button to get it all lined up. And then I just hit that blank and see. And just like that, Cricut is doing its thing. Now, while Cricut does its thing, I start staging the mugs that will get this color. This color is a matte gold permanent vinyl. And then I start gathering all of my tools I need: my alcohol, my microfiber towel, paper towel, spatula, weeding tool, scrapper, basically my entire crafting survival kit, okay? Then I picked the next vinyl color. I thought I'd use two, but I ended up only using one. And then I just set it aside for the next round. Once the first design finishes, I unload the mat and then I'll load the next one so that it can cut while I weed out these two. Multitasking, small business edition. Now I trim the vinyl and start weeding while the machine keeps working, carefully pulling out all the tiny little pieces. And now we're finally getting somewhere. Alright, now that the cutting is done, I go ahead and unload my mat, get everything put away, and now it's time to weed out these designs. I was going to use my paper cutter, but honestly, it's easier to just grab a pair of scissors for this part. So I take my scissors, cut out each design, and we're ready to start weeding. Now, I'm weeding the black vinyl designs and it's going pretty smooth, which is always a blessing, okay? Because sometimes weeding will have you questioning your life choices, but today we are rolling. I'm just taking my time, making sure I remove all those tiny little pieces, and then we're on to the next one. Once everything is weeded, I actually place each design with the mug or glasses going on. That way, when it's time to apply, I'm not sitting here looking like, wait, which one was this? Which one was that? You know, it's just a little organization process, okay? Now, we're ready to get started. I pull out my cup holder or jar holder, and I clean the mug where I'm going to place the design, and then I actually cut the design in half because it was a little too long for what I needed. I grab my transfer tape and I start transferring the design onto the mug. I repeat the process for the second piece as well, and mug number 1 is complete. Now on to mug number 2. And here's a different angle so you can see it just a little bit better. It's the same process. Clean the mug, cut the design in half, and grab my transfer tape. I press it down first with my fingers, and then I go over it with my scraper tool to make sure it's really on there really good. It comes off nice and easy, and now I just press it right on the mug. I smooth it with my fingers again, and again, I use my scraper if I feel it needs it. I repeat for the second part, and we're good. 2 mugs down, and now on to the next one. This time I'm working with one of my black mugs, and we're using the matte gold permanent vinyl because black and gold just gives me luxury every single time, right? I clean the mug, I grab a larger piece of transfer tape because this one is in cursive. I'm making sure everything comes off perfectly. And it did. I press it down with my fingers, pull away the tape, and voila, it's done. Now we do the same for the next one. I clean the mug, big transfer tape again, and press it down. And ooh, this one is not peeling off as smoothly as I would like. It's always that one letter, y'all. Always. I got off the top half smoothly, but those smaller letters on the bottom need just a little bit more attention. So I just cut it in half because sometimes you've got to work smarter, not harder. Now I press the top half down really good. It pulls away nice and smooth. Now for the bottom half, I use my scraper tool, press it down and make sure everything sticks. And as I'm checking it, I realize I'm missing a whole letter. Yep, it's stuck to the side of my workstation because of course it is, right? So I grab my weeding tool, carefully lift it up, put it back where it belongs and press it down. And now we're good. All right, mugs are finished. Now it's time for the glassware. I clean the stemless wine glass, press the design onto the transfer tape and apply it. I pull the tape away and we're good to go. Next, I grab the red wine glass, clean it, apply the design, and press it down really good. And that one is done too. Now on to the brandy glasses. The first one is for my husband, so I get his cleaned, press the design down really good, and now the second one is for me. Clean the glass, apply the design, remove the tape, and just like that, we are all done. All right, now that everything is applied, let's take a look at how everything turned out. Here's a glimpse of the glasses. First up is the brandy glass with my name, and here's the one with my husband's name. I put a sheet of paper behind it so you can see the design since the glass is clear. Next is the unwind mode on stemless wine glass. This one definitely gave me the blues earlier, but hey, I went back and recreated it myself and made it work. Sometimes you just have to take matters into your own hands, okay? And here is the red wine glass that says lit then poured. It's simple, clean, and honestly very on brand, right? I lit this candle and then I poured me a glass of wine. Now, onto the mugs. Here we have Kandie scents, scented with soul, poured with purpose, and another mug that says coffee and candle therapy, because honestly, that's a lifestyle, not just a saying, right? And then we have two more that just says Kandie scents. Everything came together really nicely, and I love how each piece has its own personality, but still feels cohesive with the brand. And that's a wrap for today's Soulful Sundays. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me while I designed and branded these pieces. Sometimes things go smoothly, sometimes they test your patience, but that's the beauty of creating. You figure it out, you adjust, and in the end, you get something uniquely yours. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow and lets me know you want to see more behind the scenes moments like this. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today, and I'll see you in the next Soulful Sunday. Bye, y'all.